Okay, so right now you should be able to, really shortly, you should be able to see my screen. And what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be talking a little bit about carbohydrates as well as our Listen and Lose program. And so what I want you to do is I want you to kind of clear your mind of anything that you've ever heard as far as carbohydrates, anything you've ever heard as far as other quote-unquote diets. I want you to really open up your mind to see what else you could maybe learn tonight. And so we're really just going to dive in and make it simple. We're going to talk about carbohydrates being our main energy source. And so throughout January, we're going to talk about different focuses. So we'll have fats, proteins, and putting it all together with our Listen and Lose system. And I want you to know that you can get this same link every week. It's always going to be this type of meeting, and we will have these recorded. When we talk about P31 Fitness, we have two really easy ways that we teach. And that is, one is Listen and Lose, and the other one is we just teach real food. And that's it. Anything that you've ever struggled with personally, I can promise you that I have been there as well. And so we all struggle with the same things. I've worked with many women in the past, and I want you to know that everyone I talk to has the same basic struggles. And, you know, any woman that you meet with, any person you meet with is going to say the same thing, that they want to get healthier, they want to lose weight. And so we're going to talk about how that looks. Basically, what we need to know, and this is powerful, is that 80% of the way that we look and the way that our health actually is in our life is that 80% is dealt with by nutrition. And that's a big deal because we oftentimes think, oh, well, I went and worked out, and so therefore I should be XYZ. I should be skinnier. I should lose weight. I should whatever. But in reality, most of our results are more dependent on our nutrition. And so that's really important for us to remember. I love this. This was a quote I found. It said, hey, I had plain Greek yogurt this morning, then a salad for lunch, and I came home and ate the entire kitchen. And if I didn't have you on mute, I bet you'd all be laughing right now. And you could probably all relate because that is so true. Oftentimes we start off really good. Throughout the morning, we're doing good. And the problem with this scenario is we're not eating enough. And so we get home and we are so hungry and we just want to stuff our face. I'm keeping it real because that's what happens. Maybe you don't get home. Maybe you go through a drive-through on the way home and stuff your face. And so I want us to really address some deeper problems. Before we ever get into the basics of nutrition, we have to address some emotional issues. And that's where you're going to hear a lot of different things tonight than maybe you've heard in other places. And so what I want you guys to think about is that food is fuel. It's not therapy. Take a minute to think about what that means. You know, food is fuel. It's not therapy. But how many of us have ever actually used food for therapy? Probably all of us. And so I want you to really think about your emotional connection with food because that's a real struggle. Possibly you have struggled with eating for boredom. Maybe you've struggled with eating for anxiety, or you're sad, or you're lonely, or maybe you're even happy and we turn to food. But the problem is food isn't going to fix our problems. It's not. It's not going to fix our problems. And we really need to think about this. And so I know you're jumping on this call hoping to learn more about carbohydrates, and we will. But we're not even going to address carbohydrates until we address this issue. So we have to acknowledge this connection that we have with our emotions and food. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be real straight with you tonight. There is no diet out there that's going to fix an emotional problem. There's no diet that's going to just work and be a magic cure for you. And believe me, I've been there. I've tried them all. It's got to be that we deal with our emotions. And so I developed a program called Listen and Lose. And these are just 7 tips. And I hope you guys have all had a chance to watch the short video that I created on this. But we're going to buzz through these quickly. And I want you to really take some notes. So we got to check our emotions before eating. That's the number 1 tip there. 2, we need to slow down. If you're like me, there's times I'm eating so fast that I don't even realize that I'm actually satisfied or full. So we need to slow down. 3, we got to allow ourselves a small treat every day. Yes, every single day we're doing it. Whether that be your favorite cookie or your favorite kind of candy bar, do like a snack size. We're looking at about 150 to 200 calories every day because that's going to legalize our food. The moment you tell yourself you can't have chocolate, the moment you tell yourself that, what do you want? You want chocolate. And so we have to realize that the moment we try to eliminate or we try to diet, or we try to take out food groups, it's going to probably lead to failure. So we need to allow that small treat every day. We're not going to hide anything we're eating. And I guarantee all of us have been there where we tell the whole world we're going on some new diet. We tell the whole world we're going to eat clean. And then what happens when we actually want a cookie? Well, we're going to hide that because no way is anyone going to see it because we told everybody that we're eating clean. Well, you know what? That only leads to some bad behavioral habits. And so if you are thinking, what is she talking about? Then you're one of the small percentage who's never dealt with this. Awesome. But most of us have. 6, we're going to allow ourselves to ask, what are we going to feel like after we eat this? So if you're really wanting, that third piece of pizza, what are you going to feel like after you eat it? And finally, we're going to have grace on ourselves because I guarantee we all do this. We overeat or we eat too many of the wrong things and we say, oh, can't believe it. I can't believe I did it again. Poor me. Oh, I got to go on a diet tomorrow. And we just talk ourselves down. So we need to have some grace on ourselves. So just a quick quote is that we need to realize that there's such freedom when we listen to those hunger and fullness signs in our body. Such freedom. And that's what we're all looking for, guys. We are looking for freedom. Diets aren't the answer. Diets really lead to more bondage because it gives you a food list and it makes you feel secure, makes you feel good. Man, I know exactly what I can and can't eat. But what happens when you go to that birthday party and there's cake? Uh-oh, what are you going to do? So we have to realize there's a lot of freedom in our system that we teach. And you're going to hear me talk about this every single week. So let's go ahead and dive into carbohydrates, having that knowledge base. Boy, if you search and you Google carbohydrates, you're going to find everything out there. You're going to find all the light and high fiber and low fiber and multigrain and all these different things. And you know what? I think it can be pretty overwhelming. And it can lead us to just want to give up sometimes. And so what I want us to look at is we're going to just study a little bit more about carbohydrates, what they do for us. This is a big deal, guys. They provide energy. So if you've ever been on a no-carb or low-carb diet, what you're going to find is that you have zero energy, okay? Because carbohydrates give us energy. So there's 2 different types. We've got our simple and our complex. The simple carbohydrates are going to be digested really quickly, okay? And so we're going to be hungry quick after. So we're simple, we're talking about usually white carbohydrates, more of your sugary type of things. Whereas the complex have a lot more fiber. The complex are going to be those that take a long time to digest. All right. And every carbohydrate has 4 calories per gram. So just a little facts here for you to know. So a couple of myths. We've heard it. Carbohydrates are bad for you. In fact, I asked my class this morning, when I say the word carbohydrates, what do you immediately think? You think, uh-oh, stay away, bad. Well, you know what? That's not true. The second myth we might have believed is that low-carb or no-carb diets are the answer to weight loss. And we're going to learn also that that is not the answer. However, I will tell you that those diets, they'll work for a little bit. But what happens when you go off of those diets? Well, you probably gain it all back, plus more. And throughout the process, you probably don't feel very good while you're on this diet. Okay, so let's talk about the truth. The truth is that carbohydrates are our main energy source. So again, if we cut out carbohydrates completely, which goes against our listen and lose principle of taking away an entire food group, if we cut those out, we are going to walk around with low energy and not be able to function. Okay, carbohydrates fuel our muscles and they fuel our cells. The other truth we want to look at is that restricting entire food groups is definitely not the answer. Okay, if you just say you're never going to have a carbohydrate again, if you go out to a restaurant and the bread basket comes around, you're going to stuff your face with it because the moment you say you're not going to have something is when we want it. It's human nature. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to limit those simple sugar carbohydrates. We're going to limit them. I didn't say cut them out. We're going to limit them. And we're going to instead consume those complex whole grain ones. And I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Fruit and vegetables, those are carbohydrates. And so are you allowed to include fruit? Yes, absolutely. I've heard of people go on diets where they're not even allowed to have fruit. Guys, what are we thinking here? God created fruit. He created vegetables. Those are things we need. And so the sugar in the fruit is actually okay. It's a fructose sugar and it's great for us. We need those good carbohydrates. And so when you think about carbohydrates, most of us think about bread. Well, there's a lot more to it than just bread. As I mentioned a minute ago, carbohydrates also include our produce, so our fruits and our vegetables. That's a big one. That needs to be the majority of your carbohydrate intake. But we also have things like beans and lentils and all of those really wholesome grains. They're listed at the bottom. So you've got all kinds of grains. And what you need to learn is there's a couple of things that you might not have known. And so when we look at those food labels, we want to check the ingredient list. if you were to flip over, say, a package of bread, you're going to look at a couple of things. The first ingredient needs to say whole grain, because what that means, guys, is that you need to understand that grain, the grain kernel, there's 3 parts to that. Okay, and if you ever look at your bread, and I have some in my pantry, please don't think I'm trying to be the pantry clean out queen here. I'm telling you, we've got it as well. But my bread, first word said enriched. Okay, and even though it looked like it was honey wheat, ooh, looks good, marketing did a good job, but enriched means that they actually have taken a portion of the wheat out. So a part of that kernel has been removed, and they've had to put something back in to replace those vitamins and nutrients that they took out. So anything where if you see enriched, anything if you see any of the refined type of stuff, what you're going to notice is that something's been done to it. All right. I was even looking in the store. They have it's wheat bread that's colored white. They're trying to trick people or trying to market, I'm not sure. But what we want to look for is we want to look for that whole grain. So our first ingredient should say whole grain, because we don't want any of the parts of the kernels removed. Okay. Something else we're going to look at on the ingredients with bread or with any of our carbohydrates is the sugar content. So take a note there. Remember, the sugar content is really, really important, because when we get too much sugar in our diet, some bad stuff can happen. Okay. So when we're looking at this, we're going to check out a couple more things here. Great, Rachel. Sounds good. But what should we be eating? Well, in general, we want to have 5 to 6 small meals per day. Yes, 5 to 6 small meals per day. That's not 5 to 6 buffet, sit down, stuff your face meals. All right. We're talking small meals to keep our metabolism running. We want to have a good balance at every single meal, and we want it to be fiber rich. Okay, the importance of having fiber in our diet is big. They're even coming up with some studies that's saying the higher fiber diet is actually protecting our cells from things like cancer and other diseases. So we want lots of fiber. Women, ages, kind of depending on your age, but the majority of you on here tonight, they're saying need at least 30 grams of fiber a day. So when you look at an apple can have 2 to 3 grams of fiber. So right away you learn that we need to eat a whole lot of fruits and vegetables, a whole lot of whole grains. We need to have 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables, because that's what's going to fuel our brain. Guys, fruits and vegetables since the dark ages have known to actually help us with so much. They help to reduce the risk of cancer. They help reduce inflammation, all of those things. And I guarantee you, I have not had 13 servings of fruits or vegetables in a day, and I don't know if I ever have. Okay, that's not 13 grapes, I'm sorry to tell you. It's 7 to 13 different servings of fruits and vegetables. And overall, guys, our carbohydrate percentage of our entire diet needs to be about 40 to 65%. And so you can imagine, if you have ever been on a no-carb diet, that number looks super high. But it's not, because that includes all of our fruits and vegetables as well. Okay, so let's take a look at what this could be. Okay, this is the 2 to 4 hours every so often you're going to be eating. So you want to think about having carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. So here's some good combos for you to look at. This was just something that I found on Google, but I thought it was a really great pin, because it really shows all the different combinations that you can make here. You want to always look to have a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat, and then add in as many fruits and vegetables as possible. All right, you cannot overdo fruits and vegetables. Remember, we need 7 to 13 every single day. So remember I told you to think about sugar? Well, when you even look at your bread, you're going to see that there's probably a pretty high sugar content. And you know what? Anything we look at with a label most likely is going to have sugar in it. And these were some shocking statistics I felt, that the average American is consuming 3 pounds of sugar a week. Okay, think about what the 5-pound bag of sugar looks like in your pantry. Well, the average American is consuming 3 pounds, meaning 130 pounds of sugar a year. Woo, that's a lot. And if you're thinking, no way, I want you to do a little experiment. Everything that you eat for one day, I want you to look at the amount of sugar on the back, and I want you to put it in as a teaspoon into a baggie and see what it is at the end of the day. And we'll probably all be pretty amazed. It's in everything. Because you know what? That's going to equal about 3,550 pounds in a lifetime. Woo! That could even be up to a pound gained a week. So I want you to think about that. If you're having trouble losing weight, or you feel like you're gaining weight fairly quickly, check and see, man, are you eating a whole bunch of sugar that you didn't know you were eating? Those are called those hidden sugars. So start to look and see what that might be. Because you know what, guys? More so than the weight gain is that it's going to actually lead to inflammation in our bodies. And let's talk about inflammation, because inflammation is kind of scary. When we look at the sugar intake, sugar actually has an interesting impact on our brains. They did a study, and the brain on the right there is a brain that actually is someone who is on cocaine. What do you notice about the brain on the left? Well, you notice that it's lit up in the same places. Okay, the parts that are lit up, that's not even a word, lit up, are those that are actually being activated. And so what this tells us, guys, is that sugar is addictive. And you know what? The marketing world knows it. And so they know, and we know, that when we eat sugar, we want more sugar. And to me, food in the past has been a drug for me. I knew when I was sad, lonely, depressed, whatever, that I could eat something and make myself feel better. And that might be you guys. But then quickly after, we felt worse. And so if we need to really understand this picture, that it's pretty scary what sugar can do. It actually can act as a drug in our bodies. What we eat, we want more of. So if you're putting bad stuff in your body, you want more of it. We've all been there. If you're putting good stuff in your body, you want more of it. I want you to think about that. Because, guys, this is the scary part here, that sugar and fried foods and all that's going to lead to inflammation. And inflammation is going to lead to all of these types of diseases. And I don't know about you, but I want to do all I can to help prevent that. And if I can do that with my nutrition, remember, 80% of my health is determined by my nutrition. If I can hopefully prevent some of these diseases, I'm going to do it. That doesn't mean I won't ever get them, but I want to do all I can to prevent it. And so we want to add fruits and vegetables as much as we can into our diet. And remember, we're talking about fruits and vegetables because those are the best source of carbohydrates that we can get. So if you wanted to get on this call to learn about carbohydrates, you're going to learn about fruits and vegetables. The other thing we need to look out for is oxidative stress. This is what happens in our bodies, okay? Inflammation, you might have heard of oxidative stress in the past. You might have heard of all of these different things, and the only thing that fights this oxidative stress are the antioxidants in fruits and vegetables, okay? So we want to increase those fruits and vegetables because we want to fight those free radicals. Free radicals attack our cells and cause disease, okay? If we can fight those free radicals, why wouldn't we? That's what we want to increase our fruits and vegetables for. It's going to also help to repair cells. It's going to decrease inflammation, and it's hopefully going to prevent those chronic illnesses. So check out this picture. Man, there's a lot of stuff on there that we may have dealt with. I know personally when I have a lot of inflammation in my body, maybe I've, like over Christmas, right? We all had a lot of extra sugar probably. I started to kind of ache. I could tell that I wasn't feeling quite as good. And you know what? When we don't take care of our actual cells, we probably get sick too. And so those people who are often sick or we don't feel as good, that's probably because our nutrition isn't where it needs to be. And so this is a great picture to show you the only product we support in P31 Fitness and with our Listen and Lose program, and that's Juice Plus. Now, this is not a sales call. I'm not selling you on Juice Plus. I'm sharing with you that fruits and vegetables are all that goes into Juice Plus. It's food, which helps us fight inflammation. When we look at this picture, look at this, guys. 75% of all chronic disease is preventable. Now, Dr. SEARS is a well-known pediatrician. He's working on prevention at those little kids at that age. But look at these stats. I want you to take a minute just to check those out. Those are some scary statistics. Scary. 1 in 3 women are going to develop cancer. You know, 1 in 3 people will develop diabetes by 2050. My goodness. Guys, we're going down a bad path, and we can control some of this and prevent some of this by what we put into our bodies. And I love this quote because it's pretty powerful. The food we eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or it can be the slowest form of poison. So I want you to think about your day today. What did you eat? Was it something that was going to help your body, or was it something that was going to hurt your body? You know, we just went and ate Mexican food. I'm not telling you to be perfect by any means. Do you think those chips and that queso are helping my body? Or do you think they're probably hurting it? Well, probably hurting it. But that's another thing I want to make sure you hear loud and clear tonight, is that we have lots of grace, and with our Listen and Lose system, we allow moderation and we allow all types of foods, because that's freedom and that's real life. But guess what? We want to do the majority of the time, we want to be taking care of our body and take care of ourselves. So a few of our resources that we have in P31 Fitness, some big ones that I want to make sure you understand that you grab a hold of is this first one is our Listen and Lose workbook. Guys, this has everything about our program that you need to know about eating. And guess what? For January, all members get $10 off. So it makes that book $14.99. It's a pretty thick book. In there, there's food trackers, there's grocery lists, there's personal meal plans, all of that's in there. We also have cookbooks. We have blog articles every single week, okay, or usually, as long as I get it written. We have articles that talk about the real life nutrition. We offer consults. We support Juice Plus, which again is a researched product, which is simply fruits and vegetables in a capsule or in gummy form. And then we have a Facebook nutrition group for our Juice Plus customers. So we want to provide you with every resource possible here, but you need to get this book, all right? Order it online in our store. So I want you to know that our philosophy is simple. You're going to follow the Listen and Lose system. You're going to eat real food, and you're going to add Juice Plus to your diet. That's it. I don't have a big, long food list for you to follow. I don't have any kind of crazy things that you have to do. It's simple. It's a very easy thing to follow. And if you have your gray booklet that you got in your January classes or your pink booklet, on the back is something called a Complete Transformation Challenge Plan. And if you are a Juice Plus customer, you know about this already. But if you're not and you want to become one, this is a way that you can do 2 shakes a day, 1 shake a day, eating good foods, and you're getting the good quality nutrition in your body. And so basically what we're teaching in this plan is we're teaching to drink those complete shakes because they're whole food, guys. It's whole food into your body. We're teaching you to eat healthy, solid meals. We're teaching half the plate of greens, 1/4 of the plate of protein, and 1/4 of the plate being a complex carbohydrate, which we're learning about tonight. We're teaching to drink lots of water, okay, at least half of our body weight in ounces, 2 to 3 snacks a day, if not more. Remember, those snacks need to have a carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Take your Juice Plus every single day, and to exercise. Okay, we want to realize here that the most important part is that we incorporate all health habits, because if we don't think about our spiritual health, our mental health, our emotional health, if we don't think about those parts of health and we only focus on the physical, we're going to get unbalanced and it's not going to work. I would tell you to focus so much on your inside stuff that you hardly even are concerned with the physical, because you know what? If we take care of our inside, the outside's going to work. If we take care of those emotions, those things that might have led us to not do too well in the past, then we're going to be successful in other ways. You might think I'm crazy tonight. I don't know, but I will say that I know that it works. I know that when we check those emotions and when we figure out really the why behind the reason we are where we are, it makes things makes sense. It makes sense when we figure that out. And so I want you to take some time to think about that. If you want to learn more about Juice Plus, please reach out to us, contact us. We were willing to help you with that. But I want you to think now, this is your time. On your nutrition book in week 1, it talks about the carbohydrates. And at the bottom, there's one goal you have this week with your carb intake. All right, maybe that is you're going to work on getting more complex carbohydrates. Maybe you're going to get more fruits and vegetables. Whatever it may be, I want you to think about what that goal may look like. And it's one step at a time. I'm not asking you to attack everything at once. Thinking of one thing that you can do this week. Because you know what? We want to have one simple change that we do. Because if you've been like me in the past, maybe you have decided it's the new year and you're going to come up with all these big changes that you're going to make in your life. And about a week and a half into it, you give up because it's too hard. And I want you to think instead this year, you're going to think of just one simple thing that you're going to do better. Maybe it's that you're going to work out more. Maybe you're going to drink more water. Maybe you're going to stress less. But whatever it is, I want you to think about that one simple change and focus on that until you can get that accomplished. And then move on to your next one. Those blog posts that you can find on our website, they're under the News tab, and you're going to start to read a lot of real-life situations. Some have to do with nutrition, some do not, but I encourage you to read it, because what you're going to find is you're going to find my heart speaking to you of some experiences I've had that hopefully will help you. Because you know what? We need to stop making excuses. We need to stop turning to quick fixes, and we have to realize that we have to look inside and realize that we're worth this. We are worth taking the time to take care of our health, our real health. Not to lose a certain amount of pounds, not to fit in a certain dress, but to really look at our heart and our soul and figure out what it is that makes us the best version of ourselves, because we are worth it. And we need to remember that. Because you know what, guys? Stop searching. There's no diet that healthy eating is going to do for us. We just need to eat healthy, okay? Stop looking for a quick fix. Stop looking for a diet. They're not out there. But what is out there is the ability for you to look inside and find out who you are. So a few reminders for you as we close out this tonight. Education is going to be the key. So each week you're going to get on this call, and I hope that you'll learn information that's going to bless you. Next week we'll be talking about fats. We'll be talking about good fats and bad fats and scary fats and how that needs to look into your daily nutrition habits. We need to remember that our body's a temple, and what we eat does matter. So when I say that, I know that we all run to that clean eating. We're going to eat clean this week. We're going to be perfect. You know what? That's not real. We need to remember that what we eat matters, but how we talk to ourselves matters even more. We're real women. We're seeking real results, and we're trying to eat real food as much as possible. Were those chips and queso I had at dinner real food? No, they weren't. But you know what? It's okay. I'm not beating myself up. I know that the rest of my day I did really well, and that's okay. We're going to follow that Listen and Lose program, and we're going to get real with our emotions. I want you to know I'm here to help. I've been through it. I understand what you're going through, and I want to help you succeed. Because, guys, this can be your year to make those lasting changes much further and much more than what you've done in the past. So at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have. And if you don't have any questions, then we'll just close out this call. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop the share. It's a pretty cool program. And so at this time, you can either chat or I'm going to unmute you. So if you can, if you need to mute yourself, you can. Anybody have any questions? Okay, there's a couple things coming in on the chat. All right, I went ahead and muted everybody again real quick. You can unmute yourself. But a couple things on the chat. So Casey says, sometimes I think we have to actually grieve when we realize that no diet is going to work. That is very true. You know, when we make that realization that no diet's going to work, that yo-yo part of our life is over. Transition to the new way is a process. And I agree. You know, I think so many times we've looked for it and it's not there. And so it's kind of a sad realization. I like how you said that, to grieve. But once we realize that, guys, it's a big deal. Okay, baby steps add up. Rachel Curtis, I think that's Christy Carter. She's using a different fast computer of mine. Baby steps add up, and that's very true. If we can one day say, you know what, I just had a cookie and I'm not beating myself up, that's a baby step. If we can choose fruits and vegetables over those chips, that's a baby step. But have grace on yourself. All right, what else? I think you can unmute yourself. I just think it's best if we keep everybody muted. There's a lot of background noise. Any questions about our program? Go ahead.
And some of the Juice Plus I know you don't take it to take the place of real fruits and vegetables, but does that kind of count as trying to get in that many fruits and vegetables a day? Because that's very hard to do.
Yes. Hey, that is such a good question, and it does. I've heard people jokingly say, well, I take Juice Plus, so I don't need to eat any fruits and vegetables. Well, that's not the case either. But what we're looking for when we get our fruits and vegetables, we're looking for the nutrients, okay? So the whole reason we're supposed to eat 7 to 13 is because we need the nutrients in our body. Well, so if you think about what Juice Plus is it's all these fruits and vegetables that have been juiced and dried and left with a nutrient put into that capsule or gummy form. So definitely from a nutrient standpoint, yes, you are getting so much that I would never get that ever. I used to juice. I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever juiced before. Oh my goodness. It's expensive and messy, and I quit after a week. But even when I was juicing, I still took Juice Plus, because I don't eat some of those things that are in there. I don't eat kale and parsley and all that every day. So great question. Hope that answers it. It definitely adds to what you're looking to do with those fruits and vegetables. And one other thing, guys, when you put good stuff in your body, you want more of it. So when you take that Juice Plus daily, you're going to want and crave better food as well.
Do they put that on an auto ship? I've never taken it before.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. They'll ship you 4 months at a time, but you pay each month. And so there's a distributor, usually one of us, that reaches out to you and says, hey, your next box is about to ship. Are you ready? If you're not, we delay it. It's not a contract or anything like that. So
cool.
It's great. I've taken it for 14 years now, and through all 3 pregnancies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't take any prenatals. I just took Juice Plus, and all my kids take it. And you know, they still have snotty noses here today, but I tell you, we get over things a lot quicker, and I feel like we're more healthy because of it. So,
Good.
yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Any other questions, guys? This is great. Looks like we had, I think, 29 people on this call tonight. So that's really exciting. We will have these every Wednesday night. So before I close out, I want to give one more opportunity. Any other questions or comments? Anything you're learning? Anything like that?
Hey, Ray,
Yes.
I had one thing about counting calories and counting carbs. You know, so often that we hear about counting things, and I think what we miss is that, yes, a carb is a carb and it's made up of calories, but the processing that goes into package of carb versus the whole food from the ground may be the same number, but it's sticky and gooey and it clogs us up and it's processed nasty stuff. So on paper, numbers look great. And it just goes back to that thing about it's about more than numbers.
Casey, I love that. That's a great point. Guys, I read something to her point. I read the guy who did a Twinkie diet, okay? He ate Twinkies all day long, but he stayed under his calories and he lost weight. What? Yes, he did, because number-wise, when you're putting it in your little Fitbit, you're putting it in your little whatever you use, it's showing you that you're under your calories. And so you're going to feel awful, but you might have eaten the right amount. And so I love that, because really it's not about numbers, it's about the quality that we're putting in. And I stopped counting calories a long time ago. I stopped getting on the scale a long time ago. I stopped looking at all that because it was messing me up here. And if you're able to do that, that's great for you. But for me, it was too much. I was putting in every little thing I was doing and eating, and what I found is it was consuming me, and I said, forget this, I'm going to go eat the pantry, okay? So we want to think about what that's doing to us mentally. So great point. Thank you. Anyone else? It's kind of weird to see yourself plastered up there, isn't it? Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on tonight, and I look forward to each week meeting with you guys. And we ended a little bit early. So if you have questions, let me know, and please go watch that Listen and Lose YouTube. Okay. Have a good night. Thanks, guys.